Schick brennt a Feuer und in Stub ist heiß. Und der Rebbe lernt kleiner Kinderlach, der Malef weiß. Und der Rebbe lernt kleiner Kinderlach, der Malef weiß. Sätsche Kinderlach, gedenktche Teiere, wo's ihr lernt dort. Sagt schon noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet's alle vor. Sagt schon noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet's alle vor. Lernt Kinderlach, lernt mit Freude, lernt dem Alef weiß. Glücklich ist der Jid, wo's kennt die Teure und du's Alef weiß. Glücklich ist der Jid, wo's kennt die Teure und du's Alef weiß.
Okay, so today we're here and we're going to be interviewing Jetka Witkowski, who's known as Joyce Wagner.
And is known as Jetka Rifka Witkowski.
And you're known as Jetka Rifka? Jetka Rifka Witkowski.
Yeah.
Okay. And you came from what town?
Kujawski.
Kujawski, okay. Kujawski. You were born when?
September 20th, 1922.
And is it right to say that in spring, spring of 1943, you were transported to Auschwitz?
To Auschwitz, Birkenau.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. We're here to interview Jetka Witkowski. Today is March 27th, 2013. We're at the Renaissance Hotel in Washington, D.C. How are you today, Mrs. Witkowski?
It is a sad day going through the Holocaust Museum, but I'm okay.
You're okay. Well, I understand that you're also a writer, and you've written 7 books, is that correct?
No.
More?
One book.
One book?
Just one book. I'm not really a writer. I'm a Holocaust survivor who wants to tell the story, what I went through during the, after World War during World War II.
And World War II, and you were born in Poland?
I was born in Poland, in a small town.
And the name of the town was?
AJWV Kujawski.
What was the largest town?
Near Wrocław, not Wisła. Near Wrocław.
Wrocław,
yeah.
okay.
I came from a small town where everybody knew everybody. It was a very close-knit family.
Do you have an idea of how many Jews lived in your town?
About approximately 500 people.
500 people.
Approximately, yeah.
And let me take you back to when you were going to school, your first school that you went to. You went to a public school.
I went to a public school. In Poland, everybody had to go through it started at 7, and we went to 14 years. That was the public school. But we had foreign language. We had geography with it, history. To me, it's like in the United States high school. According to the high school of the United States, there was no college in our town. There were no high school. We just did 7 years of school. That's all. And some people who had only one child or two and they had lots of money, they sent the children to bigger towns where there were colleges and they got better educated.
Let me ask you something about your education. I know you spoke about a public school,
Yeah.
At any time, did you have a Jewish education in a Jewish school, like a cheder?
Of course.
Uh-huh.
I used to be. We went to the school, to the public school. We went to about 4 o'clock, and during the classes, we had one day a week where the rabbi came and taught the Jewish students the religion, and the priest came and taught the Gentile students their religion, After school, I used to go to a Hebrew school, which they call Beis Yaakov.
Beis Yaakov.
Beis Yaakov, yeah, where I got my Jewish education. We were not taught Hebrew, but we were taught Yiddish, in Europe, there was put, in Europe, the boys had to be educated. The women, they didn't care about that. Just as she was a good person and future wife and mother of their children, that was. But I belonged to the Hashomer HaTzayir, the Chinese organization. I was very active in the library, and it was a beautiful life, very peaceful, happy with my 9 brothers and sisters, with my parents. They had business, there were business people it was a small supermarket where Gentile people and Jewish people all came shop there. Even the priests of the town used to come in, and they knew everybody by the first name. It was a very close-knit family. And we were very friendly with our neighbors. We really didn't feel the anti-Semitism in our town where I was born. There were quite a few anti-Semitic incidents, but in general, we got along beautifully with the Gentile people. I had Gentile friends from school, which I grew up with. Of course, I had lots of Jewish friends, boys and girls. And what can I tell you? Life was beautiful.
Let me ask you a question. It's interesting. You said something where you mentioned that in your own public school, they allowed a day where you would have instruction from your rabbi, and they did the same for the Christian children, which I find very unusual because it's the first time I heard that.
Yeah.
That in the public school they allowed for a Jewish education 1 day a week, and that's why I can understand the anti-Semitism.
A rabbi used to come in and teach us the history
the
of
Aleph
the
Beis.
Jewish people. Our base, we learn more in the Beis Yaakov,
Uh-huh.
And the rabbi more history of the Jewish people, about the holidays. What does it mean to be Jewish? You know what I mean? It was and my parents were very religious people. My father used to get up in the morning, go to the shul to daven, and then in the evening, of course, he went to
Mincha Mariv in the evening. Let me ask you, we know about your father. What was his name?
Hersh Yankov.
Hersh Yankov.
He was the most sweetest man in the world.
And your mother?
I was his pet.
Were you the youngest?
I was the second from the oldest.
Second from the. What about your mother? What was her name?
Gito.
Gito?
Gito. My daughter's name. Gito,
After your mother.
After my mother.
Tell me something. You had how many sisters? How many brothers?
We were 9 children. The older brother passed away before the war. We had an epidemic of typhus in our town, and I lost quite a few friends, and I lost my brother. So I became the oldest of the family. And I lost another brother as a child. He was a little baby when he passed away. of the diphtheria, you know what I mean. So when Hitler came to Europe in 1930, on September 1st, I remember that so vividly. You just cannot forget it. The radio was playing across the street in the window of some neighbors, and they announced that Hitler invaded Poland. That was the saddest day of my life. They said, we know what Hitler did in Germany, because the German people ran away from Germany, came, hopefully they'd be safe in Poland. But
Now you say the people, are we talking about the Jewish people that ran away from Germany, or even the regular Germans?
Jewish people, the
Okay.
Jews during the war, sure. They ran away from Germany and came to Poland because they thought they might be safer there than in their own hometowns. Even in our town, people used to run away to different towns, hoping they'd be safer there. Like my parents, I had two the youngest sisters. One was 10 and one was 11. And we heard all kind of story what was going on. So I took my parents, my mother, my father, we sent them to a town near Częstochowa called Klobutsk.
Now who did you send? I'm confused. You sent your sisters, the 10 and the 11-year-old?
The youngest.
Okay.
Because we were taught that as long you work, you will survive, you know. And we, all the children, we thought we were going to go to a camp, and as long we are working, we will survive. And the parents, they were a little older already, and this sister, 10, 11, we heard story what's happened with the children. So Częstochowa was at an area where they called it protectorate, and supposedly, it was a rumor, supposedly the people who went to Częstochowa, supposedly they would be exchanged for the German prisoners. The Jewish people would be exchanged. They called this area protectorate. And we were hoping they would survive there. But one day they came and the whole town went to Treblinka. The whole town they took to Treblinka.
What were the names of the two sisters, the two younger sisters?
Yehuda. Chaya, Chava. Chaya and Chava. Yehuda, I had three, the youngest sister was Yehuda, Chaya and Chava. Chaya and Chava went with my parents to Kobuz, and the older sister, Yehuda, went with me to the war camp and then to Auschwitz. And with one of my brothers, Shimek, we all ended up in Auschwitz.
How many brothers were there? 4 brothers?
4 brothers.
And what were their names?
Then the oldest was Meyer, who passed away. Then was Shlomo, Berek, and Shimek. And one was Abraham, who passed away as a child. And then we were the girls, myself, Jetka, Hilda, Chaya, and Chava.
I want to take you back to your town that you lived in as a girl growing up. Could you tell me the name again of the town?
AJWV Kujawski.
Okay, and at that town, would you consider, how many synagogues did they have?
2 synagogues.
2 synagogues.
One was with the they called it the Stiebel, where the Orthodox people used to pray. And we had, it's a long story, it is my book, I wrote that about it. We had a rabbi who was in our town, and then during the World War I, the children went to Warsaw. The family went to Warsaw, and the children got very rich there. In honor of their father, who was a rabbi in our town, they came in 1935, 6 something. I don't remember exactly the year. It's so many years back, you know. They built a beautiful temple in a school, and that was the Orthodox Reform. I get
Conservative?
Conservative temple, yeah.
Oh.
So we had a conservative temple and we had an Orthodox temple.
So I'm going to take you to a different time. I'm going to take you to the time when you were separated from your parents and your father.
Yeah.
You were sent to a labor camp.
First, the Germans invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. 6 months later, they took the men and sent them to a camp. And then they took the woman and sent to a different camp. That was before they stopped, they had made the ghetto. That was before. And I was working in a camp with lots of young girls like myself, and we were working in demolishing houses. And supposedly those houses were barracks for the Polish army. And the German had no use for the building. So we had to sit and clean the bricks from the concrete,
Right.
what I mean?
Remove the concrete.
So they can use the bricks and build other projects, whatever they needed, And it was so hot, I remember, and the wind was blowing, and you could hardly breathe. It was hardly. And during the night, we slept in a barrack on straw on the floor. There was no mattress, nothing. Just the food was very limited. A little soap, a piece of bread. And we were working there for about a year, 6 months or to a year. I just cannot remember. I'm 90 years old, let's face it. But I vision myself being, I can see it. I'm there, I'm doing the work. I see the wind blowing the
dust.
The dust, and then our faces were full of dust. I can see everything, but
I want to ask you something. You mentioned the book. Is that the book I see with you here today?
Yeah, that's my book, yeah.
Can you tell me something? On the book is a picture. Who is that photo of?
And of course, that's my photo.
You remember how old you were there?
I was there 15, 16 years old, something like that.
Now, was that a school photo, or was that a family portrait?
It was a family portrait. It was my birthday. My mother had two brothers which came to America, and they came during World War I. And the third uncle came in 1938. So my mother had two brothers, and they exchanged pictures. We received pictures of their children, and my mother sent the picture of her children. And one of those pictures was
Survive.
Survive. I have nothing. I have no pictures. Whatever is in there was given to me by my family.
And that was a picture of you at the time?
That was a picture of me, yeah.
So what brought you to write a book?
I'm starting with my daughter's story. My daughter is a counselor in a high school, and the school was putting on a play about Anne Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, Mother, you know what? It would be so nice if you come to the school or speak to the students. And that was in 1977, I remember.
And
1977. And I spoke to the students, and that's the way she got me to speak to the students. And every year I live in Florida, but every year, summer, I used to come to Chicago, suburb of Chicago, for 3 months to spend with my daughter.
And your daughter is Gilda?
Gilda and Sally. Sally.
Sally?
Sally.
Now who's Sally? 2 daughters?
Daughter, my younger daughter. I have 2 daughters and 1 son.
And what's your son's name?
Harold.
Harold.
Yeah.
And where does Harold live?
What is it?
Harold live? Where does he live?
In Kansas City.
He's in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And your other daughter lives also in?
Suburb of Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, you have 3 beautiful children, and how many
Beautiful.
grandchildren do you have?
I have 9 grandchildren.
Can I know any great-grandchildren?
Not yet.
Not
the
yet.
First wedding is going to be on July the 20th.
Okay.
The first wedding it's my oldest grandson is getting married.
And as we say, it should be with lots of nachas.
Nachas, that's it.
Right.
For the best.
So I'm going to ask you a few other things. There was a time when you were put into a ghetto before you were transferred to Auschwitz. You remember the name of the ghetto?
AJWV ghetto.
So it was in the town where you lived.
Every town where I live.
Now, from that ghetto, you were transported by train?
It's not so easy. They make the ghetto and they put all the Jewish people in this one big long street packed in, and our house happens to be in the ghetto street after Hitler invaded Poland. And we used to have one family, but during when Germany invaded Poland and when they made the ghetto, 4 other families moved in to share our house with other 4 families, you know.
Now, these other 4 other families, did you know them before?
Of course, we knew each other. It was a very close-knit family town.
Now,
You know,
would we
everybody.
call it a shtetl?
Shtetl.
Okay.
Shtetl.
So we could call it a shtetl.
Shtetl, yeah.
So, if I understand, in spring of 1943, you were transported to Auschwitz.
You asked me before how, about the ghetto. From the ghetto, I went to Auschwitz. I didn't go from the ghetto, but that's the big story. We know that the Germans are gonna send us away from our town. Everybody knew, but some people didn't believe in it. So we had neighbors who, our houses had an adjoint attic, and we made an opening between those. It's like here, each house is separate, and between them it's
A wall.
In Europe, most of the houses were built adjoined to each other. So on the attic, my other parents had a bakery. That was the last business what they were in. They had a bakery, and
A bäckerei.
a bakery, yeah. So on the attic, we made a big opening that we could go from one house to the other, to the adjoining house. And we made plans with this other family. If we hear something that's they're gonna evacuate the town, we will all run at the attic and try to save our lives. We know what's happening, what the Germans are doing to the Jewish people. So early in the morning one day, I was there with my 2 brothers and 1 sister. The parents were in Auschwitz that time already. And I heard noise in the street. The Gestapo was shouting, Juden raus, get out of your houses, So I had my nightgown on, or pajama, who remembers, and I put a coat over my body, and I took my 2 brothers. Being the oldest, took my 2 brothers and my sister. We went at the attic to hide. From the other side, the other family came. Was father, a husband and a wife, and three daughters. Jeta, Sala, Genya, Dora. There were four girls. And we were all hiding at the attic. And being at the attic, we heard the noise. We heard the shooting and screaming. People were screaming, They didn't want to separate. It was calling names to get together, to be together. The family should be together. And then the Gestapo came to the house to check or some people are hiding there. But they couldn't find nobody. So 2 Gestapo came up on the attic from our bakeries, from our side. And they looked around and we were hiding under the chimney of the bakery, which was a big chimney. We were standing behind it, of course, very quiet, afraid, to open our mouth. And the two Gestapo came up, and they looked around with their lights, and they couldn't see us. They made one mistake. If they would bring the dog up, they would catch up right away. We were lucky that they didn't bring the dog up. Now, from the other side, where the other family used to live, one Gestapo came up. And he noticed us, and he said, you then come on down. But this Gestapo knew the other family. The father of the other family used to make suitcases. He was a suitcase maker. And the Gestapo brought material, and he had to make suitcases for them. It was forced to do that. You couldn't say no to the Gestapo. And then with the suitcases, whatever they could grab from the Jewish people, they sent it to Germany. So he used to come into their house, and he knew the family. So one of these girls, Sala, I can see it right now, said to him, Mr. Grabkowski was, I could never name, Grabkowski, something like that. She said to him, you used to come into our house, we were so nice to you, you were so nice to us, leave us here, we come down later. He looked at us, and went down and knocked the door, closed the door, put the nails. They had to close shut them so nobody would go in, the Polish people would not up, And I could hear, said to the other Gestapo, Niemand is there. And he saved our lives. But I don't know one of my brothers, Berek, he was afraid. He said, I'm not safe here. He ran down and hid in the basement, and some Gestapo took him out from there. And of course, all the people from our town were sent to Birkenau. That camp where nobody survived. Just by miracles. We stood on the attic till it got dark, and then we said, and not too far from our town was another camp, working camp, for Jewish women and men who worked for the, building bricks, for a German company or something like that. So we knew that the other family had two brothers in there. They had two brothers in this camp, so we planned that if we survive, we were gonna go to this camp. We joined them, and let's hope we might survive there. It's just unbelievable. When it got dark, it was quiet in the ghetto. We left the attic, and we ran to the field to hide there during the night, and then in the morning we continue to this camp. And the one woman, maybe I shouldn't tell you that, one woman saw us running. She went to the Gestapo and reported that Jews are running here. The Gestapo came after us, but they couldn't see us. What I think, my feeling is, that's the same Gestapo who saved our lives on the attic, didn't want to turn us in. That he was the one who was looking for us, and he didn't want to turn us in. It's a miracle. It's just unbelievable that one Gestapo who took so many Jewish people sent to Birkenau, you know what I mean? And he saved a family, two families. It's just a miracle. Miracles. My life is miracles. I survive by miracles. There are so many miracles. If you read my book, you will know all of my miracles. I had my miracles. Somebody was watching over me. Somebody was watching. That I should be the only survivor of a family of 9 children and parents and grandpas and uncles and cousins. I should be the only one survivor. I am here to tell the world what's really happened. People have to know that never again a tragedy like that should happen. Not just 6 million Jewish people died. There were so many other people, millions of people who also lost their life during World War II.
I'd like to ask you a question. There was a time when you found yourself on a train going to a destination,
Auschwitz.
but arriving at Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, yeah.
Okay. Tell me something. When you arrived at Auschwitz, was it morning, afternoon, or nighttime?
It was morning.
It was morning.
Yeah.
And it was the springtime, so it was probably still very cold.
It was, no, we were traveling about 3 days by the time we got to Auschwitz. We were about 100 people, you know.
In a car.
In a boxcar, you know, locked in this boxcar. And we had for 3 days, 3 nights, we had no food, nothing. And there, the boxcar, people needed
To go to the bathroom.
for the bathroom. So there was a little pail, and everybody went up to the pail. And the pail was up high, and they spilled on the
Floor.
And the smell, and it was just unbelievable. It's just, you cannot describe things, what was going on there. People.
Did you?
We lost our hope. We lost our hope. We know that after something like that, nothing good can happen. You know what I mean? Nothing good can happen. Because you don't treat people like that. You put them in a car without windows, you know what I mean? For 3 days, no food, no water, nothing. In those conditions, what we live there.
In that car with 100 people,
Yeah.
you must have known many of the people in that car.
Of course.
Any,
The whole group, we were young people. That was in my car, you know, the 100 people. There were young people they were closed, the German closed up. That was 1943. They closed all the working camps and took the young people, you know, 20 years old, 18 years old, and maybe some were a little older than 20, and sent us to Auschwitz. We were a group of young people, but they were some children too. Maybe they just squeezed in some families from other towns, not from our town, you know what I mean. And of course I know the people from our town. I know the friends, what I work with. And I was there with my one sister and my brother. My sister's name Hilda, the older one.
what was her Yiddish name?
What?
Her Yiddish name. Her Jewish name.
Hilda.
Hilda.
Hilda, yeah. And my brother Shimek, the youngest brother. And we did the job. When we came to Auschwitz, they separated us.
Well, tell me something. You arrived, the doors opened up on the car.
Yeah, Juden raus.
That's what you heard. It was on the loudspeakers?
Loudspeakers, and the dogs were barking. And so many Gestapo women and men were there with the dogs dressed up beautifully with the shining shoes, you know. Juden raus, and they pushed us out from the ghetto, from the wagon. We did not have luggage. When we left the camp, the working camp, they told us, take everything with you. Before we went on the train, leave this is going to go separate. So we didn't have absolute nothing, just what I have on my body. That's it. That's how we arrived in Auschwitz.
Now, as soon as you arrived, they separated you to two lines?
They separated them 3 lines. The older people and the children went separately. The men were in a different line, and the women, we were on a different line. So there were 3 lines. Was that one line for the women, one line for the men, and one line was for the older people with the children who went straight to the gas chambers. And then we had, of course, Mengele was sitting there, and we had to walk straight without clothes. And he was selecting the healthiest.
Now this happened after you got off the train, when you were already near the barracks? Because when you got off the train, you still had your clothes on.
I still had my clothes on. They took us first to shower. We had showered, you know. We took off all our clothes, we were showered. And then they took us to our room and they cut all our hair off. And then they took us to a separate room where they put my number. Each one had a number. That's my number from Auschwitz.
And that
They put the number on us, and then naked we had to walk past Mengele, who selected still the strong ones to go to Birkenau, and whoever was, he saw that there were sickling people that were sent to the crematorium. I was lucky. I had my sister in front of me. And we both came to Birkenau to work in Birkenau. And she was with me for a year. And then it was just unbelievable. You cannot describe the conditions what we lived with. First, they didn't give us enough food, so right away, those people who were healthy, who needed lots of food, you know, to survive, the body needed, those people died first. They just broke down. They just couldn't live on the Russian food what we had there. I was I'm small built, and I never was a happy, big woman. Never very small either. So it looks like whatever they gave me, it was enough to survive. You know what I mean? Of course.
The calories were enough.
I was skin and bones. You could count every bone on my body.
I want to ask you something. When you arrived, you had to give your clothes, and then you were given other clothes.
Yeah.
What happened to the shoes, your own personal shoes? You never saw them again?
Never saw the clothes again.
And never saw your shoes?
Never saw the shoes, never saw my clothes. What we got, it's some wooden shoes, and we got one dress, no underwear, nothing. Just one dress, what we worked and slept in. That was our belonging, one dress. You never took it off. For about 6 months, that's what we slept in them, and we worked in them, and that's it. That's it.
When did you realize what was happening to the old people and the young children? How soon after you arrived at the camp did you really see and believe for the first time that they were exterminating the Jewish people?
We could not believe. You could not believe something like that could happen. You know what I mean? So when we arrived in the barracks, you know what I mean? And one of the women asked the couple, the one who was Shtubova, who was in charge of the barrack, you know, she asked her.
The female couple.
Yeah, female couple, of course, yeah. She asked her, where is my sister? What did they do? Where is my sister? I would love to see my sister. So there's a tiny little window. And she said, come on, I'll show you where your sister was. And she took her to the window. You see the smoke coming out on the chimney, the fire? That's where your sister is coming out. And we all started crying. That's when we realized that they all were cremated, the gun.
That couple, she was a Polish woman.
She was a Jewish woman.
She was a Jewish woman.
Jewish woman, yeah. She was a Jewish woman.
Was she a Polish Jewish?
A Polish Jew too. Yeah, she came. I don't. Maybe some other towns they came earlier to Auschwitz. You know what I mean. And she was there working there. They picked maybe healthier girls, maybe more. What you call that?
authoritative,
you know, more stronger, you know what I mean?
someone who would take orders from the Germans.
That's it.
Let me ask you, did she ever strike any of the other girls? Did she ever hit any of the other girls?
Of course, she
And
had
she was,
to.
and she was a
She
Jew.
had to. She had to. She had a Jew. She had to, because you know, to survive herself. Yeah, but some of them were nice. Some of them, even one saved my life. One saved my. I caught a typhoid first when we came to Auschwitz. Next day, right away, they took us to work in the camp there in Birkenau, you know, cleaning the bricks or something like that, or carrying stones from one place to the other.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Just to wear you down.
That's the way, I'll never forget. One of these big rocks dropped from my hand, you know, and I got a beating from a Gestapo with his, you know, over my back.
And this was a mailman? A male?
A mailman, yeah, Gestapo.
A male Gestapo?
Gestapo, yeah.
Mm.
It's just, you're talking, you're there, I'm seeing, I'm living it through again. I'm living that through again. I'm talking, I was there with my sister. It's just unbelievable that something like that could happen in 1940 in a civilized war in Germany. Something like that. Nobody in the right mind could believe what was going on there.
And something is very hard for me to understand, but I believe it.
Yeah.
You saw, for the first time in your life, you saw the selfishness between people, even in your own barracks.
Of course.
You saw people were ready, in order to survive, to steal. And they would steal somebody's bread.
If you got a piece of bread, you ate a half of it, and you wanted to save a piece for later, for the morning, you know what I mean, before you went to work. You put it under your head, and somebody came and stole that from you. And you didn't have that. You slept in the wooden shoes because you were afraid that somebody's going to take the shoes. You were strapped in with a little dish what you got your soup in it, you know what I mean? Strapped in on your body because you were afraid if you put it down, somebody's going to steal it, and maybe somebody might give him a crumb of bread, a piece of bread for the special dish there, you know. It was.
There came a time when the war was coming to an end. You heard rumors that the Russians were getting close. Did you ever have a German guard come over to tell you that, don't worry, the war is going to end soon? Did you ever hear that from a German guard? Never.
No way. In Auschwitz, when I was in Auschwitz, by the end I was little, you know, we got, it's so much to talk about. We got very little food. And we got, when you drank this dirty water, your stomach blew up right away. And they must have put something in the food. We got the diarrhea, you know. And typhus was very...
And what about the lice in the camp?
And the lice, you know, we were sitting outside when we didn't go for the wind, and we took off the lice and we...
Break them. Yeah. But you went through it, as they say in Yiddish, derch gemacht.
And what did you say?
Derch gemacht. You jumped over the river, you went through it.
Just by miracles. My sister, she got the diarrhea, and I had the diarrhea. And we went to use the bathroom now, which was a room with a board and a hose in it, and that's the way. And there was a big line, and even you didn't completely clean yourself out, you know. If you stayed a little longer, the couple of the latrine, you know what I mean. She got an extra piece of bread. It was a German woman who beat you with this club, you know, get out. So we went outside, and I would never forget it, standing outside, and everything just came out from your body, over your shoes and over everything. We weren't human. We were not human at all in Birkenau. You just nobody who didn't go through, cannot believe this, what we went through there. Cannot be. My sister caught the typhus. And that time, both of us got a better job. We worked in an ammunition factory where we made little nails for the guns, I don't know, different things, you know. And also there, they work with the powder. It's so much to talk, so much to talk. And my sister caught the typhus. And if you didn't go to work, they took you to the crematorium, or took you not to guest chamber, or they took you to the hospital. They took my sister to the hospital. When I came back from work, she was gone. I was left all alone. And I tried so badly to see her. I knew she was taken to the hospital because the Stuvova told me that the people who stayed this night home, they all went to the hospital. So for a week, I was going after work, standing there by the hospital, hoping. It was so cold hospital, you know what I mean. There was no medication there. People were taken there just to die. That's it. So one day, finally, I sneak into the hospital, and I was howling, Hilda, 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 Hilda. And then I hear a voice from the back say, here she is. So I walked over there, and I saw the skeleton in the one bed, and it was a little wooden bed, you know, and this other bed was empty. And she said, that's your sister was in this bed here. She fell asleep so peacefully during the night. So I did not see my sister. And what can I tell you? I didn't cry that time. I didn't cry. I was happy for her that she died peacefully in her sleep, not taken to the crematorium alive. It's very hard.
Were you liberated in Auschwitz? Were you liberated in Auschwitz-Birkenau, or were you somewhere else when the liberation came in 1945?
In January of 1945, January 1945, the Russians were close, not too far from Auschwitz. So the Gestapo got us together, few thousand of people, 60,000 of people, I think it was 60,000, and they marched us out in January. It was so cold, snowing, and the snow was
High.
The snow was turned into water, you know, slippery, and we had to walk there. I had only the shoes on and the dress, no underwear, nothing.
No coat?
No clothes, nothing. Just my dress and my shoes, nothing, absolute nothing. And we walked there, and that's the coldest, the Death March. And that is another story, how I survived there. Miracles. He looked very distinguished. He was an Orthodox Jew. At home, he always said the prayer before the meal, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Shabbos, Norach. You have to read to know what's there. It's more details. More details.
Tell me something from your childhood. Do you remember any special Yiddish songs that you used to like to sing? That your father sang, or you used to like to sing?
No, right now I cannot think of it. You know,
Uh-huh.
right now it's very sad going back to the family. I cannot think. But yeah, Hanukkah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful song, but I don't remember now. I cannot tell.
You don't. What about the Kumitz Aleph Bass, Offen Pripachik?
Okay, picture, yeah. No, those songs we were not singing now at house. No, more cantorial music.
More Cantario.
Cantorial music, yeah.
More music from prayer than davening.
Davening, that's it.
Uh-huh.
That's it. He had such a beautiful voice. The woman, after the service, we used to come over and she you know.
You were, the last time you saw your mother and your father, do you remember when that was?
I remember very clearly. I remember. I promised them that I would come and see them again. And they told me, be careful, because no Jews is allowed to go on a train. I put a hanky over my face, you know, on my head, you know, look like a Polish girl traveling. If they would catch me, they would kill me. They killed. That's how my mother, when she arrived in Columbus, she was afraid that they would recognize her, so she fell down and she hurt her foot, and she was laying there behind the straw, not able to take care of the children with her husband. So they were in a big warehouse with straw. Families who ran away, you know, came there to hoping to survive there. People were trying to help themselves as much as they could, but there was no place where to hide. There was no place where to hide. They find you all over.
Let me take you back to the liberation, but before the liberation, we were talking about the Death March. And the snow was wet, and you had nothing except your dress, the wooden shoes. Where did you go? Where did the Death March take you?
We were marching for about 2-3 days. 2 days or 3 days, I cannot tell you exactly, because we didn't know the date, we didn't know the time, we were just going, you know, day, night and light. And then they put us. They took the women, a few women who still, they saw, we had a selection again, you know what I mean? And they took us to Ravensbrück. They put us, who still could walk or work, they put us on the train and took us to Ravensbrück, which was just a women's camp. And they kept us there. We didn't go to the barracks because there was no room. We were in a tent where it was snow just, and this was January. The wind and the snow was blowing in, you know, and we were laying on the straw. We didn't got nothing warm, a piece of bread, but nothing warm, no soup, nothing. After a few days, they made, and then when from the march, when they took us on an open train. Open train, it was not like a full course, you know, an open train, and that's 3/4 was snow in there, you know, and my foot got frozen, I couldn't walk. So I took my shoes off, and then I could put the wooden shoes, and then I could put them on because my foot was all swollen. So we helped each other. Some found a blanket, some had a needle, a thread, and we made from material, a pair of boots, something, and that's what I was wearing. And then they had a selection to send the people who still looked, you know, a little bit healthy. Nobody looked healthy, and they took us to another camp to work. After Ravensbrück was another camp, so I couldn't walk, but I knew that I couldn't survive there, laying in the tent, you know, in the snow. So we all pushed ourselves. So we had to walk like, let's say to the a few steps, about 20 steps, and the cop, the woman, the Gestapo, you know, she selected people. You're good, you still can go to work, and you're not good, you stay there. There was selection. And here I was limping, I couldn't walk. But miracles. When I walked, just the will to live was so strong in me. I wanted so badly to survive, to tell what really happened there, and hoping maybe somebody's still alive, and you know what I mean. Walked straight, like never nothing happened. I wasn't limping. When I came on the other side, I started limping again. Could you believe something like that? The will was so strong.
The girls in the death march who couldn't walk, who fell down, and they couldn't walk anymore in the snow.
They shot them.
They shot them.
They shot them.
You saw them shooting the girls?
On the back, you know, we walked in the back of the line. There were Gestapo with dogs and the guns. Whoever fell down got the
shot
bullet right away, threw in the ditches, you know. But I cannot understand. We didn't see not one person passing by, civilian people. We didn't see nobody. I don't know how, you know, what kind of roads they pushed us farther, you know.
You were at one point liberated.
From Ravensbrück, they took us, put us on the buses to another Mecklenburg. Mecklenburg was airfield where the Russian or the liberated was bombarding, and it was so much damage done there. They needed people to clean up the fields, so they took us here there. It wasn't a big camp. The houses were nicer already. The food was the same because there wasn't too much to eat. You know what I mean. And there we were a few months there. And then the Russian came closer, so they had to push us farther. The Russian, you know, they pushed us farther because the Russians were behind us. They did not want that we should be liberated by the Russian, especially with the numbers on our arm. The skeleton. We were skeleton. We were walking dead people walking. What kind of skeleton, skin and bones. Skin and bones. I was so skin and bones, you know, the whole camp was surrounded with electric wires. And some people just couldn't handle, so they went to the wire, they touched the fingers, and they were gone. You know, what can you do now? It was a point in my life there that I was skin and bones, and I knew that the next selection I'm going to go to the crematorium, which I was so scared of the crematorium. So I walked by and I saw the dead bodies laying there. So I thought to myself, okay, I know I was taught by my parents that God gives life and only God can take it away. You're not supposed to commit suicide. So that's why I didn't do that. Some people just commit, you know what I mean. And I said, that's it, Joyce, give up. You can just not do no more. So I walked over to the fence and I wanted to touch the finger. And I was so close to the fence and I hear my voice of my father, God gives life and God takes, don't do that. So like he would be there. And I went back, and here I am. So close to that. Miracles. My whole life, my whole book is miracles. That's it. I didn't have no position, not Shlubova or work in the Sonderkommando, you know what I mean, the
crematorium.
The clothes or sewing group. I was just working outside. The last few months I was working in an ammunition factory. You know what I mean? So I was working inside. And from there, because there was powder, so some girls got together. There was a resistance group there at Auschwitz. So some of the boys from the Sonderkommando, every 6 months, they took the Sonderkommando and they took him to the gas chamber and they brought new ones because they were afraid that they would survive and tell what was going on there. So this Sonderkommando knew that their time was up. So they came, some had friends working in the ammunition, Union factory, the ammunition factory. And they asked the girls to get them some powder to make a bomb, you know what I mean? And some of the girls got the powder from the ammunition bag. I was making nails, sharpened nails. They were working on by the powder. So there were 4 girls of them, I think, so 4 girls. And they got the powder and they got it out.
You knew the girls?
I know, no, I didn't know the girls. I did not, because they worked in a different section of the factory than I was. I knew the people who were with me.
How did you know it was 4 girls?
Because they hanged them.
They hanged them.
They hanged them, and I was standing watching them. One day after the work, then they blew out the crematorium. And right away they knew that we had some connection. So the whole factory was surrounded by Gestapo. So we thought, that's it. They're going to take all of us and put us down to the crematorium because they blew up the crematorium. But they didn't, you know what I mean. But they found out who did it, and they hanged up one day after work. We didn't go to the barrack, but we had to the place where they put up the guillotines, you know. And they hanged those 4 girls, and the sister was standing behind me.
Of one of the girls?
One of the girls.
And you witnessed?
I witnessed, I see them hanging. One, I mentioned the name, it's 7 years. It's the 7 years, it's a lot of book. One of the girls said, Hazak Fiamatz, she belongs to Hashem, and said, Hazak Fiamatz, yeah, that's
Hazak is strength.
Strength, Fiamatz.
I'm not sure.
Hazak, that was the how you say that, the greeting, when we greet each other, Hazak very much, you know. Yeah.
Oh, Hazak.
Be strong, be brave. Brave in Hebrew, what does it say?
Brave, koach.
Something.
Koach.
I can.
Or koach, or gibor.
Yeah.
So or gibor.
Be strong, be brave, be strong. And all of those girls were hanged. And I watched that. And it was so close to the liberation. It was already 1945, by the end of 1944, close to 95. So close to the liberation. Such a beautiful 4 girls. I watched that. I watched the hanging.
Yeah.
I watched the hanging. And then the Russian came closer. So they marched us farther out. And that time when they marched out, we saw the Germans, you know, were running away. They were afraid they knew that the Russians are coming. They were afraid for the Russians. So they were running like we were running when the German came in, you know. People were running. And then we stopped at a place, you know. When we went through the woods, we thought, okay, they're going to take us here, they kill us off here. We saw a big building with a chimney. They're going to take us there, they kill us, they get us there, you know. To the last minute, nobody hoped they're going to survive. And then we were all in this one, that was a smaller group already, smaller camp. We all, and the Gestapo ran away already.
When you say the Gestapo, you mean the SS?
SS, yeah, the SS, the Gestapo.
Okay.
And then SS, Gestapo, no,
SS.
SS, yeah.
SS.
Sure. And they ran away and they put all old soldiers. They gave them a gun, stay and watch the Jews. And I remember one was shouting, "Don't run away, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you." You know, he's going to shoot us. And then he ran away himself, and they left us sitting there. So we said, "What are we going to sit here? Let's run." So some people ran here, we separated. And one of the groups was from our town, a girl. And she said, "Joyce, come on, let's be together." And I just had the feeling, I said, I don't know. The group was too big, a too big group to survive, you know. So by myself, I went to the woods. By myself, I went to the woods, and I heard the woods noise. So I was scared. Are there soldiers, German soldiers still there? Are there enemies after me? And then I would come farther and farther, and then I heard speaking Polish. And there was a group of Polish workers who worked for a German farmer. And they took me in there, and 2 days later, the Russian came in and liberated us. Just unbelievable, just unbelievable. You have to read the story. You have to read the book. I couldn't do it today.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this already.
So tell me something.
Yes, please.
We have a beautiful book here that you wrote, and today with the education, you wrote this to bear witness. And in your book, the title is To Bear Witness.
Yeah.
With respect to what you want to accomplish, tell me, with this book.
We were sitting, one day we did not go to work. We were all sitting outside, a few girls at barrack in Birkenau. And it was such a beautiful day, and not far away we could see the Carpathian. I could see it. I see the faces. I see us sitting around there. And we were thinking, beautiful world, what's going to happen to us? They're going to kill us. We won't survive. Nobody's going to come out alive from here. And we said to each other, please God, let one survive and to tell the world what's happened in this hell called Auschwitz-Birkenau. That's the promise I kept to those girls. Please God, let one survive. I survived. And I kept my promise. Promise kept. That's the title of my book. That's in thanks to my daughter, who, wanted me to speak to the students after speaking to the group who were doing the performance about Anne Frank. Every year I came to visit Chicago, and every year I started. There's a picture in there, the small group of a class, just one class, you know what I mean? And then 2 classes, 3 classes. And by the end, I speak to 1,000 students in the auditorium. And they a few years back, they made a video. In case if I won't be around, the video is going to speak for me. And the love and the attention, they hugged me. They had a piece of paper. They turned us up, and I had to write my name so everybody would have my name. And I want to show you the picture where how I started. That's the picture of Vice Yankov, and that's the boys' school, and that's the Hashomer Hatzair group. And that's the new temple, what the Jewish community, the children of the rabbi
Built
a beautiful, take in the back.
I'm amazed. How did you get these pictures? Where did you find these pictures? The pictures of the temple, the school.
There was a few survivors from our town, and somehow they had it, and I have them from them. And all those pictures. This is a brother had a sister here, you know.
Yeah.
Here's my brother Shimek. He's my brother. Somebody, no, this picture I had, this is the one who came in 1938 to United States.
Uh-huh.
And they brought the pictures with them. And that's how I got this picture, and this picture that was sent from Israel. Some of them went to Israel. Hashem Rajiv, Zionist group. That's my husband and me. And here I start speaking to it's a class of students. And then I spoke to B'nai Brit groups every Yom HaShoah.
What you're doing is so important for not only...
I survived, and the world have to know from where I came, and what's happened during World War II. People have to know, and now I cry, but I'm telling my story. People have to know.
I want to ask you a question,
Yes,
which is important for the people who will see this video in the future. Today is the first day that you and I met, correct?
Yeah.
And my name is Manny Viter. I was born May 1952, and I was born in Israel, and I live in New York. You and I met today at the Holocaust Museum, where I met your daughter, Gilda, and I met Gilda's cousin?
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. Okay, who's...
Rodney Ross.
Rodney Ross. Let me just zoom in on you right there. This is for purposes that we have.
He works in Washington. For the
National Archives.
National Archive.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you is, during our little interview that we had today about your history with the Shoah, at any time did I tell you what to say, or are you saying your own words? Have you spoken today in your own words?
I didn't tell you nothing. It's so much more to say.
Oh, yes, that I understand. But did I ask you to say something that was not correct?
No way.
Everything-
No way. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that.
Okay, so all these are your history,
That's
what
the
you
truth.
witnessed,
That's the truth.
the truth,
That's the
and what you
truth,
witnessed,
yeah.
what you experienced, and I didn't influence you in any way to say something.
No way.
Okay.
I wouldn't. Because that's my story. It's not your story. It's my story. And that's the way it should be,
That's very important. I want to thank you on behalf of the American Jewish War Veterans. I want to thank you on behalf of the Jewish people, and I want to thank you on behalf of all humanity and people who are interested in the story and learning what really happened during the Holocaust and what survivors like yourself had to go through.
True, and we still, I'm 90 years old, and I will still speak to 4 high schools now in May. One is Glenbard West, Glenbard North, Glenbard South, and Glenbard East, and it is in Glen Ellen in Illinois. And as long as I can still speak, I will continue to educate the people. That's one thing. Never again should something like that to happen to anybody in the world. Anybody.
And I hope God gives you the strength
Thank you.
for the next 120 years
Yeah.
to talk and to educate the young children. They have to know your story and the story of the Jewish people
They have to know.
and
They
those that
the
don't
world
have the
to
voice.
know.
And you are the
have to
voice.
know.
You are the voice for all
Yeah,
the people who didn't survive.
that's right. For propaganda, some people say it's never happened. But even in my book, I have a few words.
And this is the last page over here. Would you like to read that? I would like you to read it if you...
Those words were written by General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who helped liberate Ordruf, one of Buchenwald's camps in Germany. He later became the 34th President of the United States of America. And that's what he wrote. The things I saw began description, the visual evidence and the verbal testimony of starvation, cruelty, and bestiality were so overpowering as to leave me a bit sick. I made the visit deliberately in order to be in a position to give first-hand evidence of those things, if ever in the future there develops a tendency to charge those allegations merely to propaganda. General Dwight Eisenhower, April 12, 1945.
That is a very famous quote from the general.
From the general,
right.
yeah.
In addition to that, he made his his officers in the different division and units that were liberating camps in the different area, bring the German civilians into the camps and view exactly what the German people did.
Yeah, I know about it. I know about
That is a fact of history. And tomorrow, I don't know if you know that, but Dwight Eisenhower's daughter is going to be here.
She's going to be there.
Right. And I'm going to try to see that you get to meet her.
I wish. I would love to.
I will do everything I can
I would have the
to
book
arrange
and
that.
show her that's in my book. It's the same.
That his quote is there.
Quote of this
That his
one.
quote is there. And I would like to be there to photograph that moment.
Beautiful.
Okay.
That would be lovely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for everything that you did. Okay. And what you did is just more than words can express. And you did it for the future of all children, Jewish and non-children alike, and also for the Jewish people. They should know that what you went through should never happen again.
Never again. Never again. People have to know that a thing like that should not be allowed. Where was the world? Where was everybody to allow so many people? The way they were killed, the way, just think of a crematorium, of a gas chamber. I will never forget. I was sitting outside in a group of, they had to walk to the crematorium past our barrack. We were divided by electric wires. In a beautiful group of people, mothers, fathers, grandpas, the children worked together. The rest I will never forget so beautifully. They must have come from a bigger town, friends, something, bigger. And they were talking like never nothing happened. They walked straight to crematorium, straight to the gas chamber, and nobody came out alive. And we were sitting witnessing. We knew what's happened to those people. We knew. How could anybody do things like that? How could anybody allow something to happen? Just where was the war? I still question where were the people who could really help us, and there was no help. There's no help. Even we know when I was in Auschwitz, we were hoping that they might, I don't have the words right now, I'm so...
Liberate?
Not liberate, but Hitler. They will kill Hitler.
Assassinate him.
And we were hoping that a day would come that he be assassinated and we be liberated, And then we find out, in Auschwitz, we knew everything what's going on, from mouth to mouth. We didn't have the radios now, but from mouth to mouth. Some people, the hired, like the resistance group, they had the radios, they knew what was going on in the world, and they passed it on to the others to give us hope that the Russians are close, the Americans are close, that finally somebody is fighting for us to liberate us, you know what I mean. And then we hear that there was assassination on Hitler's life, but he wasn't killed, you know what I mean? He wasn't killed. And we found out that he survived. It's in my book. It's in my book. It's a little tiny book. Little tiny book, but there's so much in it. I wish everybody should read it. God forbid, I don't make money on this. I don't want to be famous. I just want people should know what really happened, what's happened to my family, and to millions, 6 million Jewish people, and millions of others. Why? Why is this question? Why? Why are things should have happened in this world? And there's no answer. I talk to different religions, says why this happened? There's no answer. There's no answer. That's it. That's it.
Wenn ich dem an sich in meine Kinderjugend winkt wie ein Chulem, weht mir alles vor. Wie seht euch durch die Welle, Glanz in Zweimalle, wo sich hab gepflanzt, oi, Belz, mein steht alle Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Oi, Belz, mein steht alle Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Jeden Schabbes pfleg ich laufen mit alle Ingelach gleich, sitzen hinter die grünige Bäume, werfen Steinderlech im Teich. Oi, Belz, mein steht all Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Das Stübel ist halt verwachsen mit Gruß. Der Dach zerfall, die Fenster Gruß. Der Ganek ist grimm, sie boden gewend, ihr wollt schon mehr nicht erkennt. Oi, Belz, mein steht alle Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Oi, Belz, mein steht alle Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Jeden Schabbes pfleg ich laufen mit alle Ingelach gleich, sitzen hinter die grünige Bäume, werfen Steinderlach im Teich. Oi, Belz, mein steht all Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Belz, mein steht alle Belz, mein Heim alle dort, wie ich hab meine kinderische Jugend verbracht. Kalte Nacht, an nebeldicke Finster steht ein vertreuert und guckt sich herum. Und Regen schützt im Noraband, a Koschik lallt in Hand, und seine Augen letten jeden Sturm. Ich hab schon nicht kein Kojach mehr herumzugehen in Gas, ungerig und abgerissen von dem Regennass. Ich schlepp herum sich vom Baginen, keiner geht mir zu verdienen, alle lachen, machen von mir Spaß. Upitje koifsche Papyrossen, Druckene von Regen nicht vergossen. Koifsche billig Benemones, koif tu not auf mir Rachmones, Rate wird von Hunger mich hat stehen. Upitje koifsche Schwebalachantiken, der Mied wird ihr Jossem untergewichen. Und es ist mein Schreien und mein Läufen, keiner wird bei mir nicht kaufen, alle lachen.